Well, to sort of wrap it up, what if a person out there in our audience finds evidence or has a close encounter? What should they do? I mean, I consider you to be a real expert.
Stay still.
Yeah.
And if you have a camera, get an image of it. There is nothing to indicate that these animals have ever attacked or approached people. They tend to just go away from you as quickly as they can. It'd be like, what do you do when you see a deer? Just freeze, take a look at it. They'll stare at it. I've had them stare at me for over a minute.
Yeah.
And then boom, 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 they're gone. So if you were to encounter one, don't be afraid, because it's not going to hurt you. There's nothing to suggest that they've ever hurt anybody. There are some tales about throwing boulders at people or rocks. I think maybe that's an attempt by them to scare you away. Mm-hmm. But if you see one, grab your camera and don't be in fear of your life. There's other animals out there you would want to be more afraid of.
Oh yeah, rattlesnakes are very dangerous.
Or a black bear could potentially do some damage. I don't think a skunk capable. Now you probably would be scared. If I actually saw one and I'm looking eye to eye with it, my heart's going to be pounding a million beats a minute.
Yeah.
But that would be my suggestion.
Well, now there is one question that has nothing to do with Bigfoot that I think maybe the folks at home would love to hear from you. And that is, what are your views on ghosts and the occult? I'm
completely open. The occult would mean that you would believe in demons and that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I do believe that there's energy, and it would not be impossible in my mind for there to be energy left behind from a departed person. I think it's pretty fascinating that that device has picked up the presence of at least 20 specific words emanated from some energy field or source in this building that is supposed to be haunted. So
it's another enigma.
That's a very enigma.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention DNA. Okay.
Yes.
There is currently a DNA study going on. Mm-hmm. It's commonly referred to as the Erickson Project. There's a wealthy businessman out of Canada named Adrian Erickson, and he has funded a DNA study through a scientific laboratory in Texas for the purpose of proving scientifically that Bigfoot exists. Now, they have collected samples from researchers throughout the country. What the researchers have done is, if they found blood on a tree bark, or they found hair, or they found poop, or things of that nature. One person found a thumbnail. They put it in the baggie, seal it up, and they mail it into the laboratory. And they've received about, to date, 120 samples. Now, there's some things about this that I find a little unusual. The samples have only been studied by one scientist and her assistant. And they leaked, or someone leaked recently, that the mitochondrial DNA, you have two types of DNA. You have mitochondrial DNA and nuclear DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is the DNA of your ancestral mother, going way, way back, maybe thousands of years. Okay, they claim that the mitochondrial DNA on all the samples is human, but the nuclear DNA is somewhere between Neanderthal and modern man. Now, I don't believe a word of that, not one word, because I question how the samples were gathered. Didn't O.J. Simpson get off of a murder rap because they pointed out that the samples had been poorly gathered because it could compromise the DNA strand. So these were not gathered in a scientific manner. And getting to the human factor, if the mitochondrial DNA of these samples is human, then why don't we have tool making? Why don't we have fire? Why don't we have language? Why don't we have art? Why don't we have the very things that define what a human is? We've never found any burial sites. Primitive man had an understanding of the afterlife.
Yes.
and they began burying their dead. None of this seems to happen with Bigfoot. So you're going to tell me that there's a human aspect to something that's not human. I don't believe a word of it. I'm not calling them hoaxers, but I believe that they've gone a little too far with something they didn't think was going to go that far, and they don't know how to get out of it. That's the nicest way I can put it, because I think they want to get out of it at this point. There's talk of a peer-reviewed paper being printed in a scientific journal. I don't believe at this stage that a scientific journal is going to accept a paper proving the existence of a Bigfoot without a type A specimen,
Right.
Which is a body. See, the reason we can talk about the giant octopus or about the coelacanth is because we found the damn things.
And maybe we'll find this thing too.
Maybe we'll find Bigfoot. We can only hope.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, thank you.
We'll talk again soon. Visit Tim Fasano's website, bigfootafterdark.com.